Hey guys, welcome to another video of Smack with Cards. So A3 requested me to make a decklist, deck tech video on my Water Zander decklist that I played for the European regionals. I ended up in 3rd place and in 5th place, sadly enough missing the top cut when I ended up in 5th place. But yeah, I'll just show you my decklist and give you some insight in the choices that I made. So for this particular list, it is a ally focused water deck list. Of course, starting with the Spirit of Water. And in this particular deck, I played the Zander. Zander Prepared Scout, Zander Deft Executor, and Zander Karazi's Chosen. Usually you don't really get to level 3, but in some matchups it's needed, especially if you need the Stealth or the Spell Shroud, or you are able to get the extra damage off of the Luminous Scepter. The Deft Executor, in my opinion, makes Zander playable again, especially with the ability to take Thieving Cutback. And the extra preparation counter really helps in this deck, especially with Karazi Trapper. So this is the hero that we're playing. Regarding the card draw engine, we're playing Wind Resonance Bubble, Fire Resonance Bubble, and the Grand Crusader Ring. In the matches that I've played, I noticed that that particular deck struggles a little bit against wind allies. So in this deck, of course, your one of your win cons is of course your allies, but I noticed that wind allies is just a little bit too fast, so you sometimes need that extra card to gain the advantage. Yeah, and fire is just a no-brainer because fire in general is just very fast, and Grand Crusader Ring is just there for, of course, the extra draw, and it's also a card that you can switch out for the Quicksilver Grill, and I'll explain that in a little bit. For the other cards that I'm playing, Terrafring, of course, to protect your allies in this particular matchup, in ally focus matchups, and the Poison Dagger is I think one of the strongest cards if we're talking about Assassin, because it allows you to do a 1-turn kill when you have a lot of allies on board in this deck, and it also combos with Luminous Scepter. And we've been shown that during the American Nationals when Duckheads was playing this. Other cards that I'm playing in the deck are Safeguard Amulet, Nullifying Lantern, and Scepter of Lumina. So the reason I'm choosing Safeguard Amulet and Nullifying Lantern, of course Nullifying Lantern against those aggro fire decks, and of course the Erupting deck list. It might save you one or keep you alive one more turn, and it's the same as for Safeguard Amulet, because you're playing against decks that are, for instance, Rai or other water deck lists that try to kill you with the by leveling using the Scepter of Lumina. The Nullifying Lantern is good, but in some cases you need to switch out the Grand Crusader Ring to protect the Nullifying Lantern, especially against Erupting. But that's what the water deck list is known for, of course, by banishing the Quicksilver Grill in response to Spurning the Ash, or in ways to fracturize and Nullifying Lantern, of course, in your own turn to protect it. That's it for the Materialize deck. If we're talking about the allies, I'm first going to show you the norm allies. In this particular deck list, I'm playing 4 of the Esteemed Knights, 4 Lurking Assailants, 4 Dungeon Guides, 4 Gilduses, and the 4 Thieving Cuts. Esteemed Knights, a free cost 2/3, is just on curve here, and the same is for Lurking Assailant, except it being a little bit better because it has stealth while it's awake, and the level 1 ability is something that can keep you alive or kill some other allies while people are not paying attention. If we're talking about Gildas in this particular deck list, I think that every aggro ally deck list has to run Gildas, especially if they take 4 hits. I mean, the fact that Gildas can do 4 damage, and if they take 2 of those hits, it really gets them into trouble, especially if they're not level 1 yet. The dungeon guys in this particular deck list are mainly in combination with Lumina Scepter. Because in this case, if you are a spirit and you already have the Lumina Scepter on the field, you can go to level 1, but just by banishing 1 floating memory or just banishing 1 card, already dealing 4 damage. And if you have 2 dungeon guys on hand, that is 12 damage. And in combination with the poison dagger, that's 15 damage plus 1 damage of the poison dagger. Total 16 damage that you can do in 1 turn. The Thieving Cut is a very underrated card as well. It didn't see much play until it was when Zander Death Executor was introduced. So it's pretty much a 1 cost 3 damage because it filters itself out because you draw a card on hit. Of course, you're hoping that it gets does hit, of course. Regarding the water package, I'm running 3 lunettes. Why 3? Lunette is a very good card against aggro decks, ally aggro decks, but if you can't keep her balanced, I don't think she's that good at all, because fire can easily get rid of her, as she only has 1 HP when you don't have balance. But you don't want to see too many of her in your deck. And I think if you're going first, it's a really good first card to have. But your opponent can easily kill her with Gildas. And in water, I don't think you have many options to protect her, because if you do Frostbind, of course, she will go back to 1 HP, making her an easy target to kill. 4 Frostborn Paladins. I think in water this is a no-brainer to play. On curve, free cast 2/3, and with intercept, because it doesn't have any class bonuses. And of course the on enter that you draw a card. Be careful that you, when you want to balance Gildas, that you don't do the draw effect. Snow Fairies. I play 3 of Snow Fairies instead of 4. The main reason for that being is if you don't play against an ally deck, Snow Fairy doesn't do as much, and she is just a way to balance Gildas. Of course, she has stealth, but in other cases, I just side her out for other cards, and I'll show you those in a bit. The next card is the 4-off of Kohazi Trapper. I think this is also one of the strongest cards to keep you alive in water, because the fact that it can essentially save whole your board by negating a turn where Lorraine goes off with sweep, giving -3 damage or attack on the attack. But also when you have Gildas on the field and you have Kohazi Trapper to protect Gildas or any other ally that you don't want to get killed. In my opinion, one of the strongest cards in this deck. Nia, also playing 3 copies of her. Nia is in pretty much the same spot as Lunette and what's her name again? The Snow Fairy. Because in some matchups, I think in pretty much every water deck list she is playable, but in Assassin, because of the stealth bonus, she is a little bit better. But she's a unique ally, so you can't stack her on the field. But it is a way to counter a lot of decks, like Diana, for example, making them banish 1 extra card to gain that first level, especially Fire Diana, because she wants to go to level 3 as fast as possible. Intrepid Highwayman. I think this is a card that is questionable. Of course, it is a free cost with 1-2, but it retaliates for 4. It has floating memory as an assassin. This is also a card that is very situational because against wind, Dream Fairy can easily get rid of it. But in other matchups where you need more interceptors, for instance against Diana, I think it's a really great card. I chose to include her mainly because of the meta in the Netherlands. Sea Sprite Driver 2 off. It's pretty much a free cost for 2 free on curve with a way to banish or a card from the opponent's graveyard. The reason I'm only playing 2 is because in some matchups the opponent doesn't even get to the point that they have 4 cards in graveyard. 3 pieces of Drown Cut. Some people underestimate the fact that this actually does 3 damage in combination with Poison Dagger just for 1. It's a way to, if you do this in combination with the turn where you go off with Scepter of Lumina, with the Dungeon Guide, you can essentially push 19 to 20 damage. 4 Freezing Hills. This is just my personal opinion, but I think this card is very good in many situations. It can get rid of stealth units, especially Dream Fairies. It can keep the opponent's hero rested. For the Diana example, if you don't have the interceptors on hand, you can always just use this to keep her tapped. 4 Frostbinds. Always be mindful that your opponent can always just pay 2 extra, but in some cases that really matters a lot, especially against some fire matchups. 4 Fracturizers. This is a card that is very strong because it can do, or essentially can ruin a erupting deck list, because they will need to use Commune to get rid of the Fracturized Lantern. Otherwise, this card is also good against Diana to fracturize a bullet, so they get to essentially banish the bullet. And the last card I'm playing is Song of Frost. Just a good card in general, but you don't want to see too many of them compared to Frostbind and Fracturize. Regarding the sideboard, I was playing Water Resonance Bubble. The reason I'm playing it in sideboard is I was expecting a lot of wind and fire in our meta, and I noticed that I have more trouble against wind decks. And of course you can always just switch one of the bubbles out for the water resonance bubble if you're going against water. I have Argus if you can get rid of the stealth units, and also the fact that in some cases you just want to banish 1 card from your memory to get Gildas active again. Viridian against the more water matchups. Tiff, Proclamation, mainly against those ride decks where they just draw insane amount of cards, and in some cases the Merlin deck list as well. And of course the Quicksilver Grill in matchups like against Erupting, where you want to protect that Nullifying Lantern just a little bit more. And the 3 last cards I'm running are Morgan. Yeah, we call Zander, the Fire Luxem Zander, the Snooze Zander over here. You need to have an answer to Zander, because the fact that this deck can do a lot of damage, but you need to do essentially 31 damage with the Spirit of Serena Fire, and Morgan can save you that amount of healing if you replace, like for instance, Snow Fairy in this deck list. Because she doesn't do as much against that particular deck. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck that I was running for both the regionals. Of course, there are some questionable choices, but I think this is the deck list that was most fit for me. If you have any other questions, just leave us a comment in the comment section. And if you would like to see more of these videos, please let us know. And see you next time. Stay happy.